Quirky's choice. Pain surged through Quirky's body as he was spun off balance by a blast of eldritch light, causing him to collapse in a convulsive heap, blood streaming from his nose. The roar of battle was fading, and Quirky felt his initial panic become comfort as, one by one, the stars began to blink out in the night sky above him, and the coldness that he had begun to feel disappeared to be replaced by the warm embrace of oblivion. He woke with a start. The sound of the sea was loud in his ears, and as he sat up, blinking in the bright sun on what appeared to be a desolate and cold beach, he tried to focus on what seems to be an ancient-looking gnome, crouching nearby, examining a small stone through a strange pair of spectacles. The gnome seemed oblivious to the chill, protected by an oversized coat of black fur that poorly matched his green hat, which seemed to resist the strong wind whipping along the sands. "I can never find the right-shaped pebble when I'm looking for it," the gnome stated sagely. "It always arrives unbidden." He turned to meet Quirky's gaze with a wink. That face! Quirky was sure he should know it, but his mind could not grasp the name despite a part of his brain screaming it at him. He glanced up and down the beach, seeing that it led to nowhere. "Where am I?" he asked. He thought about standing, but for some reason he could not summon the will to do it. The strange gnome remained on his haunches, staring out at where the sea met the sky in obvious comfort with his surroundings. "Neither here nor there," he replied, causing a tingle of frustration to rise inside of Quirky that was quickly suppressed by something. The gnome rose and tossed the pebble into the sand, stepping towards Quirky to offer him his hand. Quirky took it, and in that touch he sensed millennia of wisdom. But as the hand was withdrawn, he felt a loss that was akin to losing a loved one, and he almost gasped in anguish. "My lord!" Laughter. A peal of laughter such as could brighten the darkest of days. Quirky could not take his eyes off the ancient face as the gnome suppressed his mirth and fixed him with a stare that peered over his intricate eyewear. Such was its power, Quirky thought his heart was going to burst. But his gaze shifted to over Quirky's shoulder. "Look," the god said, and Quirky did not even feel in control of his movements as he spun to spy the horizon out to sea once again. But this time storm clouds were gathering. "He has come." "Who?" replied Quirky, anxious that his tranquility had been disturbed. "The chained god," Nebelun stated with sad resignation. "The elder elemental I, Tharizdun." Nebelun glanced away for a moment in contemplation before once again meeting the horizon with his gaze, and then turning it upon Quirky. "He has come for you." "Me?" Quirky exclaimed. "But I am yours, lord." He glanced feverishly at the roiling clouds amassing above the now stormy waters. The wind was picking up, and Quirky felt himself being buffeted by it. "Not yet," the god replied. "The elder elemental I is come fishing. This is why you are in such a place. What a catch you might be to turn a most holy soul from the path of righteousness to one of destruction. Tharizdun knows the boon of corrupting such souls, and he has done so many times." Nebelun fixed Quirky with a steely glare. "What will your answer be, I wonder?" His voice had risen now, above the gale-like winds, and Quirky realized that he was gathering his coat and belongings in against the gusts that tried to separate him from them. He turned towards the horizon once more. The sky had become black, and somewhere within it was a presence of menace and fear, but also the promise of power, the strength to wield it, and to be worshipped in perpetuity. Quirky took an involuntary step forward as Nebelun stood still, His head bowed. More laughter. The memory of a child's laughter, as Quirky delivered her a mechanical toy. The sun on her face. Her smile as Quirky turned the key to her heart as he wound the intricate miniature dragon he had made. The love she had for Quirky in that moment welled up inside of the gnome as it was remembered, as she would remember the love from a stranger and share it in silent worship forever with others in need of it. And so it will go on in perpetuity. Quirky turned back to his god. I have but one lord, he said, kneeling before the raggedy gnome and realizing that his black cloak and green hat did not move in the wind at all. It may have been a smile, it may have been a glint in the eye, but as Nebelun brought his hand down on the head of Quirky, the cleric knew that he had been blessed. The scene faded and the wind disappeared, and there was only darkness again. But in the distance, a light grew. Thank you for listening to the progress of my Dungeons & Dragons group as they make their way through the Princes of the Apocalypse campaign setting. Watch out for further episodes where we shall learn about the aftermath of the taking of Riverguard Keep and where the road now leads our party of adventurers.